Hello, everyone, and welcome. Happy Wednesday. We are in the middle of hump day, and it is a good hump day because we have another live stream for you. My name is Tiffany Hall. If you haven't met me before, hello. It's nice to see you. And if you have, then hello again. Also nice to see you. Glad you're back. I am an alumni of TripleTen Software Engineering Program. I'm a full stack engineer, and I'm a product owner at Scholastic Inc., the world's largest publisher of children's books and a powerhouse in the digital education space, too. And tonight, I'm really excited because I get to be the host of our July Code Pudding for our business students. So we have our BIA students, which is our analytics of business intelligence analytics, BIA. Okay. So many acronyms. Just want to make sure we're all together. I'm really excited that you guys could join us. We have students with us live, and then we have many of you watching at home or watching us on repeat later. So thank you so much. One of my favorite parts of all of the live streams and code jams and code puddings that we do is getting to connect our students all over the country. So if you're new and you are not sure what a code pudding is, let me go ahead and give you a moment to bring you up to speed. These are friendly competitions that occur for our students during their normal coursework. They're very short, like days long. And the students get together in teams and they jam out a bunch of work to meet the prompt. And this one, because of the content, is very focused in nature. So it's a bit less like the main course of a meal and more like a dessert, like a pudding. Get it? Dessert, pudding. These are the jokes, Shiv. You got to laugh. All right. Our code pudding consists of two parts. We have working with the data and the presentation. Last week, our participants, we split them up into teams and they were all challenged to create visual essays providing using the data sets that we provided. And you'll notice there's a theme. Our teams only had 5 days to make their projects, which is like nothing for time. Today, all of our teams are going to show you their projects. And then next week, all the judges will take their time in evaluating the data and the presentation. All of our results will be posted on Hub if you're a student of ours, or if you're not a student of ours just yet, they will be posted on our socials. You also have a chance, if you're watching this on YouTube, to participate and vote for your favorite so that our audience award winner gets a special prize. I will try to make sure that Sharkbait does not drop any mice, live or stuffed, in your prize box. All right, if you want to vote for your favorite team, you just go ahead in the comment section. If you're watching this on repeat, if you're watching live with us right now, then you can go ahead and put your favorite team name in the live chat off to the side. Okay, now it's time for my favorite part where we get to talk to the teams and we get to see what they have been working on. We have two teams with us for our live stream today. We have our first team, which is page turners and trend trackers. Love these names. And that team consists of Shiv Shah, Brittany Williams, and Valerie Kiki. Take it away.
All right, thank you for that introduction. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Can you see my screen? Perfect. All right, I'll let Brittany take us off as soon as everything, there we go.
All righty. Good evening. I'm Brittany Williams, and I'm here with my teammates, Siobhan Shaw and Valerie Kiki from Page Turners and Trend Trackers. Today, we'll be presenting our analysis of the 2023 Amazon Kindle dataset, highlighting key insights into consumer preferences, price models, and publishing trends. This analysis of the 2023 Amazon Kindle dataset was built with the customer in mind, aiming to deliver meaningful, data-driven book recommendations that reflect real reader behavior. We focused on three key areas: Category trends. Certain genres are gaining momentum. These shifts signal the need for deep analysis to understand what's driving engagement. Best-selling authors. A small group dominates the bestsellers list, showing strong brand loyalty and genre focus. And leading publishers. While Amazon leads in volume, traditional publishers maintain a strong presence. Together, these insights help bridge the gap between data and discovery.
So, hello everyone. My name is Shivang Shah. Proper introduction here for those that don't know me yet. Um, the objectives of our evaluation for this project were one, to identify the top authors, categories, and publishers for recommendations, as Brittany did mention, evaluate reader engagement through reviews and star ratings, and inform pricing and publishing strategies using the trend insights. And all of this is what you're going to be able to see through our visuals in our project. So some of the assumptions are written over here based on each of the categories that we worked on. So the category trends, we were looking at the popular genres, which signaled lasting reader interest. Genre trends guiding content and marketing strategies, category data that reflects real user behavior. We're looking at bestseller authors, right? So our best-selling authors, the bestseller status shows market demand. High ratings indicated loyal readership. Top authors drive the consistent engagement. And then we were also looking at the leading publishers. So the book volume reflecting the market presence, high rated publishers maintaining trust, and genre dominance, which shows strategic focus. So now, oh yeah, a little quick data overview for you guys as well. So the data source we used was the comprehensive data set, which comprised of 130,000 Kindle books from Amazon. The total books that were analyzed in specific was 133,102. The key fields that we use that you're going to see in our analysis are author, stars, reviews, category name, price, bestseller, and sold by, which is the distributor. So now if we want to go ahead and dive into the data, this is our first visual, which represents category versus the reviews. So there was a lot of different categories that we encountered in this data set, right? So we have, I noticed at least when I was going through it, there was a lot of categories which focused on the educational aspect, like law, math and science, like those textbooks that we have that we don't really like getting. So there was also some other categories, for example, mystery, thriller, and suspense, which a lot of people in this data set specifically look like it was very popular. In this chart, you see that based on the reviews, mystery, thriller, and suspense came out to be number one with the most amount of reviews. And it may be a misconception thinking like, oh, maybe these books were the most purchased, which is why they have the most reviews. But when we did a deeper analysis, we were able to see a excuse me, a fair number of variability between each genre. So yeah, it kind of goes from mystery, thrillers, and suspense all the way down to comics, which is the least amount reviewed. So I'm not really sure why in this data set specifically, but there could be other underlying reasons. So then now we go over to category and price. So the reason I depicted this data set this way, this is going from top bottom to the cheapest books down to a little bit more expensive, and this is only the top 10. So I really wanted to gauge my focus on this mystery, thriller, and suspense area because it did have the most reviews. It was also interesting to see that they were within the top five of the cheapest books that you can purchase, which could be a reason of why they are more popular, why they have more reviews. So yeah, I thought that was extremely interesting based on the data set and was able to give us some sort of, conclusion that we could come to. And this one depicts categories and the rating stars. So this visual, it seems like, okay, we have mystery, thriller, and suspense, which is my focus. It's here on the bottom in this depiction. But if we're looking at the numbers, we see number one is 4.6326. Rounded to the hundredth is 4.63. We look at mystery and thriller and suspense, it's 4.42. Not too far off. It's not like out of a 5-star rating, 4.42 versus 4.63. It's not extremely far off. So it does still back up my claim of saying that, hey, look, mystery, thriller, and suspense is something that I feel like we can work on, and it can definitely elevate the company or even the readers. That's some sort of focus that we can have so that we can maybe elevate and have more sales in that particular area. I'll give it off to Brittany over here.
Yes. Next, we looked at or we analyzed bestseller frequency to see which authors consistently top the charts. And surprisingly, only out of the top 10, only five of the most prolific authors had actual bestsellers. J.K. Rowling led in teen and young adult, continuing her reign. Captivating history stood out in nonfiction, tapping into a demand for digestible historical content. And DJK Publishing showed genre versatility with bestsellers spanning across five different categories. Next, we looked at engagement and ratings. Looking at the total review volume versus average rating by author to measure reader engagement. Most best-selling authors actually had low review activity, except for J.K. Rowling, who excelled in both review value and satisfaction. This tells us that popularity doesn't always equal engagement, and engagement doesn't always scale with sales. Next, we looked at the price comparison of bestsellers. Pricing was another big factor. We visualized average book prices by author and found that all top 10 performers priced under $15. James Patterson set the ceiling at $14.99, while Rowling's titles hit the sweet spot around $9. And DK offered affordable mid-range options between $6.99 and $8.99, supporting a strategy focused on accessibility and scale with their readers. And then lastly, we compared book ratings against price. We saw no strong link between higher price and better ratings. In fact, most highly rated authors often served like a loyal niche audience within specific genres. These authors weren't necessarily the most reviewed, but they did have a strong following and consistent ratings of 4.4 stars or above. So that's the insights we found in regards to our best-selling authors.
Sorry about that. This part is going to be a recording from our other teammate, Valerie. So I'll bring that up here. Forgive me, the quality may not be
Oh, I
100%.
was going to say, if you want Shiv, I've got it loaded. I can share.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah, I've got it downloaded and everything, man.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
All right. Let's why don't you stop and I'll start.
Okay.
Ooh, Share sound.
Yeah, I did share it on Google Drive. Oh, perfect. Nice.
Here we go.
Hi everyone, my name is Valerie. As the business intelligence analyst, I focus on the publishers to understand the major key players driving book sales. In my first key finding, I analyzed book counts by publishers. Amazon leads with over 80,000 titles, followed by non-listed entries, which may suggest there is a gap in publishing data or a rise in independent publishing. On my second key findings, by total reviews, Amazon.com Services is leading ahead of other publishers with over 45 million reviews, which indicates that Amazon have a massive distribution power and a stronger reader's reach. Go a bit deeper. This tree map shows Amazon maintains a strong engagement and a solid rating. In conclusion, Amazon isn't just a distributor, it's the market leader for both engagement and volume. However, the traditional publishers like HarperCollins, Penguin still hold a high weight in quality and reputation. But with these insights, one can be able to make the right decision around marketing, distribution partnership, and which publishers to approach for a high performing content. Thank you for listening.
All right, I'll go ahead and pick that up for our conclusion.
Right.
And now here we are with our conclusion. So, let it load really quick. So our conclusion. So the category key findings, the first criteria that we went over. As I mentioned, mystery, thrillers, and suspense led as a general category. And as I mentioned as well, educational books have a high pricing, which indicates marketing potential to educational institutions. So the data kind of shows us like, hey, we have certain criterias where we're getting a lot of sales and we are getting a lot of reviews for it, but the ones where there's maybe not a lot of reviews, like the educational aspect, doesn't look like a lot of people want to really review those, textbooks. If you try to think of it in a realistic perspective, usually people don't do that. But if it's a book that they want to buy for leisure, it's something that you're going to be more inclined to do. So the data does go in different directions. It's just a way of how you can perceive that. I'll let Brittany go ahead and take over the conclusion for the author key findings.
Yes, and for the author key findings, we saw that best-selling success was concentrated in a handful of known authors, which potentially shows that those authors have a strong fan base and a niche market, aka J.K. Rowling's. Any book, I remember when I was little, any book she put out, Harry Potter, we was there. Also, authors use lower pricing for reach, more accessibility, more avenues to get their book out to their audience. And lastly, high ratings often belong to niche, but not necessarily most reviews on that aspect.
And then for the publishing key findings, for Valerie, it did look like Amazon led in all sales as a vendor. I mean, that is our data set, the Amazon Kindle data set. So it wasn't really much of a surprise. It did indicate low market share and high turnaround as a primary seller. So it looked like, they're doing a great job with what they have. And I think as long as they can continue to capitalize on that, I think everything would go just as smooth. And then that is all from us. We're open for any more questions or anything anyone else has to say.
Marvelous. Okay. First question is the data set that you guys had was around the Amazon Kindle piece of it. Did you feel like that was somewhat limiting in terms of like the questions that you guys had, or did you feel like that helped as you were like able to really focus your business questions?
I think it can kind of go both ways. I think because it's an Amazon data set, part of our data is going to show that the primary distributor is going to be from Amazon, but it doesn't really, have like much variance within the data within that aspect. But I think something that's also interesting is that, hey, look, now that we can focus on one major company, what are all the refinements we can make specifically for Amazon, right? What can Amazon do differently because they're the primary distributor? What can they do differently to even continue their growth? Competition is always rising. There's always things changing. So someone could, catch up sometime soon if they have some more, crazy deals or some promotions or something going on, they can try to catch up. Obviously, in the real world, it seems a little bit unrealistic knowing that how much everyone uses Amazon on a day to day. So but yeah, I think that's kind of the route that they did eventually take at some point in time where they were able to capitalize on this kind of data to be at the point that they're at.
Really good points. And then, Brittany, how was the code pudding for you in terms of like working with a team you've never met before and putting it all together? Putting it all together.
Think that my
Sorry.
team did a great job in coming together and being cohesive in our idea. We were all on the same page from day one in regards to what data set we would enjoy analyzing. And I also enjoyed expressing this, showcasing the skills that I've learned at TripleTen, which was amazing. And this is my first one, and I'm definitely glad that I decided to participate and stick with it, even though it was very stressful because it's only like a couple of days.
It really is. Yeah, for sure. And then Shiv, on the other side of things, you've done a few of these. So how do you feel like your, experience has changed from first time doing these puddings to now?
So yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's just very important to continue to keep learning, right? There's so many different data sets. The first one that I worked with was just like a data set of like potentially working from home and like stress levels. And then we, diverge all of our attention. It was like a gym one, like a working out fitness one. And then, last month was for airline like tickets and stuff. Now it's like books. So it's just so many different markets to look at.
Yeah.
And I know all of these data sets haven't been like obviously like real data, but like it's still interesting to look at and try to think and try to put things into perspective of like, okay, like how do these companies function? It gives us not only me, but for everyone, it gives us an open door for application process. Like which companies do you want to apply to? What kind of industry do you want to be in? What kind of work do you want to do? So it definitely opens a lot of doors and it's
Mm.
very interesting, obviously also to always meet new people and kind of just see how people are working, how to work with them, and manage time schedules and communication. So I don't know.
Yeah, do you feel like the time stress has gotten easier, like in terms of your pacing? The more you do, the more that you're just kind of like, yeah, this is just the flow, it's just the pace, versus someone who, like is brand new. Like Brittany was like, it's so stressful. There's only a few days. Are
Yeah,
you at the point now where you're like, few days, like I could take a nap. It's so much
honestly,
time.
honestly, kind of, yeah, but it's not that like these code puddings like they definitely take effort and they take some consideration of like how you approach it. So definitely like can't be like, just like whatever about it. If we were, we wouldn't, but like, Brittany definitely did a great job of like, bringing everyone together in like the first day, because for me it was just very like, I've definitely, witnessed and seen how everything works. I'm very open to like understanding, like I know how to do my part, how to, get everyone to organize together. But Brittany coming into it, I loved the way that, her entire like aura and like attitude towards like the entire project was just so like, how do we want to have this? What kind of perspectives do we want to do here? So it helps you, like for me personally, it helped me like open a different perspective too, going into it, probably going to do it again next month. So it gives me another perspective of next month, having a new team, how it's going to be. So it's always nice.
Okay. So I need to put you two on opposite teams then. That's what I'm hearing.
Maybe.
Maybe. All right. That you guys had a lot of information. I really appreciate it. Always a great conversation. And I do hope Brittany comes back and Valerie too. I think you guys were able to get a lot of information from a really focused data set and come up with some strong conclusions. So well done. Right,
Thank
that is the page turners and trend trackers with the teammates being Shiv Shah, Brittany Williams, and Valerie Kiki. All right, and going to our next team is Read Between the Data, and that is Jason Parker and Hamdi Abdunor.
Yeah, we're going to get this started, and Hamdi is going to kick this off and then send it over to me. Let me this rolling. All right.
All right. Hi, everyone. My team is we are the, oh, did I forget our name?
Read between the lines. Or
Read
read
between the data.
between
Read
the data.
between the data. We are Read Between the Data, and our presentation is on Amazon Kindle Insights for Authors. And the analysts that are presenting this is myself, Hamdi Abdunor, and Jason Parker. So, just starting with our overview here, we're uncovering patterns of Kindle reviews, reads, and reach. Just an introduction. Amazon Kindle is a global platform that connects millions of readers with a vast range of digital books. So, we're understanding reader engagement trends. It's essential for authors to increase visibility and boost sales. The objective that we defined for this project is to analyze Kindle book data to identify key patterns in reader engagement and provide insights to help authors improve visibility, engage readers, and increase sales, which in turn drives sustained growth in revenue for Amazon Kindle. Some of the key questions that we are looking at also are which categories have the most reader participation? In what price range are most books listed? How have total reviews changed over time and where are they headed? Which category on Kindle Unlimited has the most reader participation and which category of bestsellers has the most reader participation? And I will hand this off to Jason. Take it away.
Awesome. All right. So, I mentioned before, reach participation. In order to figure it out, we just looked at the number of reviews, each category had, and compared that to said, there's a lot of reviews in this category. It's probably a fairly popular category. So starting out, looking here with this first little bit we did, literature and fiction came out pretty far on top, followed by biographies and memoirs, and then religion and spirituality. So, in our eyes, this kind of highlights there's a strong reader interest for both the storytelling and then also the real life experiences of people, being able to connect with those, and therefore they get a lot of reader engagement, i.e., the total reviews that they get. So, when looking at price ranges, different books, we found that most books, almost 20,000, are priced between about $8 and $16. So kind of a sweet spot we feel for books. Generally people aren't going to want to buy ebooks for some of those $80 range ones. There's only 49. Interestingly, below 8, there's still a decent amount. Not maybe not as much as you would think, at least in this data set. So that was kind of surprising for me, at least, to see that $8 and $16, kind of a nice little sweet spot there. Move my mouse out of the way. That's kind of annoying. It's even worse. All right. So looking here at this set, we took this sold by the publishers, the distributors, however you want to read that. And Amazon, again, by far the largest lister of books. Again, Kindle is an Amazon site. Listing your book on Amazon is fairly easy to do. So I would imagine that there would be a lot of authors doing that to help them get exposure. And then that way they can also self-publish and get that out as quickly as possible, to a vast audience. So almost 22,000 books in this data set of 35,000. So that's pretty substantial. So then over time, we looked at the reviews. So this is really counter reviewed by the book's published date. Interestingly, some older books, there are some good classics. In this data set, they didn't have very many reviews. As we get closer to current time, the reviews on books start to increase. So reader engagement, new releases, people actually taking time to get on the platform, read the books, and then engage by rating those books. So as you'll see here, the highest year was over 5 million. That was in the year 2020. I think we all know what happened around that time. People had a little bit more time to read books. And so it has dropped a little bit since then. However, we did get a projection here estimating that over time, the number of reviews overall for the Kindle platform are probably going to increase fairly significantly by about the year 2034. And so when thinking back on working with authors and seeing how, hey, this is maybe why an author would want to utilize this platform to put their book out on, because there's going to be a lot of people using it, and it's a little bit easier for people to find your book. So moving on to this slide, we kind of looked at, so we decided to focus on 2 categories to figure out user engagement for those categories. So on Kindle Unlimited, which is the subscription service for Kindle, you can get books, you can read those books, things like that. So engagement for books on Kindle Unlimited is highest in literature and fiction. 5.7 million reviews from books on Kindle Unlimited. Of course, that drops as we go down, 1.2 million for biographies and memoirs, and then followed in third by teen and young adult with about 600,000. So still a decent amount of engagement, and those are pretty big numbers. And then moving on to the bestsellers list, not quite as much user engagement for books on the bestsellers list, but it does kind of switch things up. So biographies and memoirs, about 502,000 reviews there, teen and young adults, and then literature and biographies and memoirs, then literature and fiction, and then teen and young adult changed up the way it was on the screen. And so as we close up here, so generally overall literature and fiction, it pretty well, like, it tracks really high reader engagement, and people are, at least in this data set, rating that across the board more consistently than other categories, especially on Kindle Unlimited. And this highlights kind of a dominant position in the market that that specific category has. With most books falling between the price range of $8 and $16, again, kind of the sweet spot for attracting buyers. Obviously, that's probably where a lot of books are kind of sitting. So the author is thinking about putting their work on Kindle, kind of pricing them strategically so that they're competitive, but also able to be affordable. And then lastly, for our conclusion, the reader engagement has pretty well grown steadily over time. More readers are adopting Kindle, they are using Kindle, and it's kind of an upward trend, and that trend is expected to continue for the next 10 years and maybe even further down the line. So this is an ongoing opportunity for authors to take advantage of and help them grow their audience. And so some of our recommendations here. So I guess like Tommy said at the beginning, we're kind of looking at this as, hey, Amazon could offer authors some tips and tricks for how to improve on their platform. This would in turn, also help Amazon and Kindle make a little bit more money. So some of these strategies would be the category. It's if you are led that way as an author, focusing on literature and fiction or biographies and memoirs, those tend to do really well overall with with reader engagement. Pricing strategy, again, around $8 and $16. And with Kindle Unlimited, users get that. I think you get a little bit of that subscription fee. So instead of getting all the money from that subscription, you get a little less kickback. It still helps increase kind of your growth and expand to reach a broader market. And that is the end of our presentation.
All right. Thanks so much. Was pulling it up on my big screen over here so I could see all the information. You guys certainly came up with some really strong conclusions. Did you feel like, as a team, did you guys feel like there were still some questions that were left unanswered? Even though, I'm sure we gave you plenty of time to get through all the questions that you had. But if you did have more time, what would some of those questions be that you might have felt like were left unanswered?
This one for me, it was more just in the data set. We didn't actually have a way to look at sales data. So we have to go completely off of assumptions. And that's hard because assumptions don't, sometimes they can be a little misplaced from reality. There was at one point I was looking at trying to figure out how to calculate how much, revenue certain category or author has made. We're looking at the reviews, multiplying that count by price of the book. But again, they're on Kindle Unlimited. It's the pricing strategy is different. So it doesn't really give you a good picture of revenue. And I feel like it was overshooting or undershooting. You never know. And so I decided, I don't think we should do that. That was the biggest one for me. Some sales data, I think, would have been nice. We would have been able to answer more questions, at least holistically, I feel.
Yeah, really good point. Tandy, what about you?
Yes, I would also say the same. That was something that Jason and I talked about while we were working through the project. One great thing was that we had really strong communication. We talked through a lot of these slides and creating everything and met often. And yeah, sales was something we were trying to figure out how to incorporate that, but there were too many assumptions that would have to be made at that point. So that would be something that I'd love to uh, find more about and learn more about with this data.
This brings up a good point. So you definitely had let's say, a yearning for more data, but also, what are maybe some of the skills that you felt like you were really using as far as like how far you guys are in the TripleTen program versus the skills where you're like, oh man, I definitely want to develop these skills further moving forward.
Well, for me, it's definitely the presentation, building a presentation. I feel like that presentation looked really good. It was all pretty much on me. I'm just kind of let's put the data points, let's put the graphs, and let's be done. It's really the time to kind of spice it up and make it look more interesting visually. And that's something I feel like I definitely need to work. Um, but as far as from what I've learned through the program, just utilizing Tableau for the data sets and being able to build calculated fields and stuff like that. I love building calculated fields. I could build them all day. I just wanted to keep going. Like, what else can we compare?
It's like the nerdiest sentence I've heard in a while. All right, Hamdi, how about you? Skills you felt like you've learned well, skills you still want to develop.
With presentation, I just came out of the Tableau sprint. So felt like that made the most sense and I felt most comfortable just with creating and just having fun with just creating the presentation, the story, and practicing what I just freshly got out of learning in the last sprint. More things that I would love to learn and gain skills on, more on playing with the different data sets and the visuals a little more. I think that would be
Mhm.
fun. We did try a few different charts and graphs, and I think I would just like to do more of that. So, yeah, just more data so I can just try different charts and graphs.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think that is a it's almost like there's almost too many graphs and options and things, and I'm always just so amazed at how the BIA students, we give you guys like this black and white data, and you guys come back with a wealth of charts that I've never seen before sometimes, and then others were like, oh, I didn't think about presenting it in that manner. But it's all about, from what I'm learning from all of these code puddings, is it's all about trying to find the best representative, the best visual to fit what your question is and what you're trying to get at. Is that right?
Yeah,
Yep,
no,
exactly that.
Great.
kind of the
Solid.
challenge I've felt like from so this was my first code putting. Is like, all right, what is the question we're trying to answer? Uh, so going through the data, I think we felt like kind of answering the question for how Amazon can help authors be successful, which in turn would increase their revenue, was kind of a good place to look at.
Yeah. Ah, the days of just a bar graph are far and away. Well, I can't wait to see what you guys are able to able to look back on and see the growth between one code pudding and the next. I know that is something that a lot of people, as they continue to do these, they one are progressing through the program, but then two, you get more comfortable with the presentation, you get more feedback, you get more opportunities to work with lots of people. So I can't wait to see what you guys come up with next month.
It'll be fun.
All right. That is our last team for the evening, and that is Read Between the Data with Jason Parker and Hamdi Abdunor. And so I want to say thank you to everybody. That is all for us here at TripleTen for our July BIA Code Pudding presentation. I want to thank everyone for watching. I want to thank all of you in the chat. on YouTube for voting. And I want to thank all of the people that are working behind the scenes, and that is Arena, Omar, Liana, Natasha, Olivia, Dennis, Anastasia, and then, oh yeah, Sharkbait, right? Can't forget my cat, Sharkbait. He, ride or die right there. Um, all of our results and winners will be posted on the Hub if you're a student of ours on August 7th. And if you're not a student of ours just yet, you can check out our socials and you can see who is winning there. Thank you again to all of the participants. I know that many people feel very nervous in their first time, but I think you will find that it gets easier and easier the more you do. And so I do want to applaud your courage, and I can't wait to see you guys next month. All right. So my name is Tiffany Hall. In case you need to find me, you can find me at Tiffany Codes on Instagram, and you can probably find my cat Sharkbait judging books by their covers. Thanks so much and have a great evening.